We were talking about viewership on this stream. We were talking about viewership on all streams.
You know,
and viewership in general of WoW content. We also talked about how hard it's been to form up groups at times. Whereas before, you know, I'd post up a raid and we got like 10 minutes. We got a full 30-man. Now it's taking like 20 minutes. And I've been telling you guys, I've been noticing a little bit of dip in WoW's population. And I don't think it's anything to do with Dragonflight. I think it's WoW and what Shadowlands did. Anyways, why no one is playing Dragonflight? Let's check this video out. Taliesin gets into it. I didn't watch the full video yet, but he made some early good points, and I was like, you know what? I want to watch this on stream because we were just talking about it the other day about the status of WoW, the status of the stream, and what it all means for us WoW players. Can't wait until that 3-hour Beliar video with a new support class. No, not today. That's tomorrow. Yeah, we're gonna watch that one tomorrow. But anyways, let's get into this. Let me move my camera so you guys can see Beliar here, or not Beliar. Sorry, this is Taliesin. I'll move this up. Make some adjustments to the stream layout so we can actually watch this. And let's see what Taliesin has to say about the current state of WoW. Very interesting stuff.
we are the hardcore these days. WoW is brilliant right now. Dragonflight is amazing right now. Like, genuinely good expansion. Arguably the best WoW has ever been, in my opinion. Like, it's definitely up there with the best iterations of WoW. Like, the game is fundamentally very good right now. People are enjoying the game in a way that they haven't since Legion. And, you know, Legion is one of the all-time best expansions, right? People love this shit. People only have good words to say about Dragonflight, right? Well, mostly, you know. But it's dead. The game's dead. I don't mean dead as in, you know, a dead body, but I mean as in subs are right down.
Yeah, you can tell.
Views on content is right down.
Yeah.
You know, you only have to look at, like, not just my channel. Like, obviously, views are way down on my channel. And, you know, part of that is people not watching videos. But part of that is also that, you know, I'm not putting out as many videos as I used to. And that has a big effect as well.
He's not putting out as many. I don't even know if it's going to make a difference. But my YouTube channel, we've been putting out more videos than we ever have. And views are still a bit down. Yeah, you could just tell. People are just not consuming WoW content at the rate that they used to. Or at the rate that they have for what now? 20 years? Almost 20 years? Yeah. You can feel it.
Like, but you look at someone like Preach's WoW content and Belilar's WoW content, and views are way, way down. Way down. You can see it on Twitch with stream views and stuff.
Quantity does not overcome. What are you saying, Frank? My channel's shit? No, it's just, I could tell, like, you know, the videos that typically got, for example, a video that's the same every time. Whenever I put out the DPS meters video, those videos would crank like 1K views the first day they used to go out. I mean, I know that's not a big number, but for a size channel of mine, that's a pretty big deal. Not anymore. I could tell those videos are down from the start. They're just not getting the same amount of views as they used to. People don't care because they're not playing.
That people just aren't playing the game right now, and I don't think that's surprising. I don't think it's surprising after Shadowlands. Shadowlands was like the final nail in the coffin for a lot of people. If WoW survives, then 9.1 will go down as the patch that almost killed WoW. And if WoW doesn't survive, 9.1 will go down as the patch that killed WoW. So
9.1 was an all-time low.
It's tough, man. It's really tough, and you know, and it's frustrating because the game is so good.
Yeah, Dragonflight's great.
In a way, it would kind of be easier if the game was bad right now.
Yeah.
If the game was terrible, that would be brilliant. To the extent where I'm like, I feel like, you know,
was,
even if views are really down.
9.1 was Shards of Domination. 9.1 was the next eye level, the regrind in Torghast to get the next eye level for your legendary. 9.1 was absolutely horrible. I quit WoW during 9.1 by IRL reasons. Didn't realize things were so bad. They were bad. They were very bad. And the thing is, we waited so long for 9.1 too, because the opening patch for Shadowlands goes down as the longest opening patch ever in WoW. And so imagine, after waiting the longest you've ever waited, you got the worst patch you've ever gotten. That was a big one for that destroyed the player base, destroyed it. I remember I was playing at the time, but that's just because I had nothing else to do. It was COVID. If there wasn't COVID at the time, that patch alone may have killed WoW. I think Blizzard is lucky that COVID was around at that time, because I was literally just playing because I had nothing else to do.
And even if people playing the game is really down, at the end of the day, and I've always said this, I would rather a smaller player base but a good game than a big player base but a bad game. Because yeah, I'm a content creator and I make my living out of it, but also before any of that, I'm a fan of the game and I'm a player. I'm a gamer, right? So I'd much rather a better game. Minnie? And if that means that our videos...
17 months of being a Death Knight of our Scourge, one of the OGs. Minnie, thank you so much for that sub. I appreciate it.
Get less views. Well, obviously I'd like them to have more views. I'd like WoW content across them. Because like, I look at our videos sometimes, I look at the views that they get, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, it is disappointing.
And then I look at other channels, and like, it's all comparable. You know, everyone's getting those kind of views.
Yeah.
Views that you'd expect... In like the pomp of BFA, videos that you'd expect to get 250,000 views even. You know, they're getting like 80, 90,000 views. You're kind of lucky if they break 100. Right. And that's the same across all creators across the board.
Yeah.
With the exception of like very specific few, right? Like an Asmongold video is still always going to get like 400,000 views.
Asmongold has grown beyond World of Warcraft. He is a man up high. Shit, you can react to Asmongold videos and pop off now. You react to his reactions. Yeah, I haven't taken it personally, like the Twitch views and YouTube views and all that stuff, because, like he said, you look around and you're like, damn, he usually averaged 2K viewers. Now he's averaging 1. What the hell's going on? Oh, yeah, Taliesin and Evitel, they usually had 500 viewers. Now they only have 200. You could see it's across the board. Everybody's viewership is like cut in half to what it was. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's just not as many people watching.
It is what it is, right?
He's a man with bad hygiene that lives in an attic.
Like, that's I'm not complaining. Yes. It just is what it is.
Shut up, that's Sam's.
And I feel good. I prefer making content now.
I find it
it's much more satisfying making content now than in Shadowlands, for sure. Do you think it's because we're in post-pandemic now? No, I think it's because Shadowlands really, really wore people out.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and most of them were good reasons. There was like, with 9.1, there was...
Post-pandemic would just mean, if you wanted to blame the pandemic for anything, you could blame it for playtime. People have less time to play. But they're in the existence of World of Warcraft since 2004. Has not been in a pandemic all those years. People were playing even though they had jobs and shit. You know, I don't think it's post-pandemic. That's why I think, yeah, like he's saying, Shadowlands destroyed it.
The perfect fucking storm of shit. You know, you had like so many things come together. It was the second, for a lot of the player base, it was the second disappointing expansion in a row. It was the longest wait we'd ever had from an opening patch to a major other patch.
Yeah, I was just saying this.
You know, we waited almost, like, I think it was 8 months in the end for 9.1.
Yeah.
8 months. Like, obscene. Crazy. Like, no content. And, you know, I believe that
8 months of no endgame content.
9.0 was a pretty good patch, to be honest. But no opening patch is 8 months good. Just can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's even forgetting all of the other problems that Shadowlands had. Exactly. But, you know, just the biggest thing was 8 months. It took 8 months. And people were getting edgy. People were getting annoyed. People were like, there was nothing to talk about except the things that annoyed them. You know?
Yep.
Because after 8 months, you've done everything that you enjoy. The only thing left to talk about is stuff that annoys you.
89
and
months
stuff
of
that you don't like. Shadowlands suffered the WoD fate. Too much time with too little content. It was worse than WoD in that respect, honestly. Yeah, 10.1 is coming out 100 days sooner than 9.1 did, and it's had 2 patches in between.
I've heard WoD mention this video and in my chat already. I think Shadowlands was worse than Warlords of Draenor. I do. WoD's main issue was a lack of content. The content itself I didn't think was too bad. I played WoD, and yeah, it wasn't great, But the worst part about it was we didn't have things to do. Like, I enjoyed playing. I wanted to log in and play. There was just nothing to do when you logged in. That was the main issue with WoD. Shadowlands had both issues. A lack of content, and then when we got content, the content was bad. Oh, it was a perfect storm of shit.
Both of which were better than 9.0.
And the story sucked. The story sucked in Shadowlands. Horribly. And it was retconning old story that was good. Oh my god. The more I talk about it, the more I can't believe how bad that expansion was.
5. Like, both of which were way more substantial than 9.05. And 10.1 is still coming out 100 days before 9.1
Garrisons
did
killed
in the grand scheme
WoD,
of
they
things.
did.
Exactly. So there was this.
It made the game feel like a single player
game. The huge weight was a massive big deal. And the fact that people didn't like the concept of Shadowlands. It was a pretty oppressive concept.
The ships, the shipyard and shit. Yeah, that was
It didn't feel like an open world to explore. It felt like a collection of theme park things, which would have been fine if you didn't have 8 months to do it. And so you had that. And then in the meantime, you had like the explosion in popularity of Final Fantasy XIV, which was definitely obviously linked to people being disappointed in Shadowlands. And running out of things to do in Shadowlands. Yeah. And then you had the scandal.
Final Fantasy is not a bad... I've never played it. But certainly part of the success of Final Fantasy was the failure of Shadowlands. They're definitely linked.
Fucking horrible, and I think just destroyed a lot of people's enthusiasm for Blizzard anything.
Oh yeah,
and
the real life shit that was going on too.
To be honest,
perfect storm,
like
man.
A lot of people were just suddenly like, well, I feel absolutely horrible about doing anything to do with this company. And unlike in previous times when they've also done disgusting stuff, this time I'm really not having that much fun in the game, and so it's actually incredibly easy to not play the game right now. Yeah. It's actually incredibly easy to make a very easy moral decision on this. You know?
Yeah. I'll be honest. Hey, the wokers and all that stuff who were, hey, protest all you want. It would have been very hard to protest the game if the game was amazing. Like if we were in the middle of Wrath of the Lich King and a scandal occurred, I doubt as many people would have quit. But it was, like he's saying, it was very easy to quit and be Shadowlands because the game sucked at the time.
It's not like,
So it just incentivized more quitting.
Shitty. Blizzard's always been a terrible company, and Activision as well. But there's always that thing of like, yeah, but I enjoy the game. And so for a lot of people, it suddenly became an incredible...
There's no salt in the wound without a wound, right? There was already a wound. Easy to put salt in it.
Incredibly easy decision to just be like, nah. And that's not even the end. That's not even the end of the ingredients in our perfect shitstorm, right? Because then,
a second iteration
when 9.1 did come out, let's be honest, it's shit. That's not to actually disparage the content in 9.1, because some people enjoyed it, some people didn't, whatever. The problem with 9.1, apart from the massively long wait for it, was that it was set in the Maw. We just spent 8 months grinding the Maw, and then
the grayest, ugliest, shittiest zone ever added to the game, the Maw.
9.1 was set in the Maw, so people who had waited vigilantly for the new patch.
It was worst zone of all time.
So
no doubt.
hard to get excited about Korthia, and people who had stopped playing, which was a lot of people, were just like, why the fuck would I come back for?
Okay, well, not only take the fact that aesthetically it was the ugliest, shittiest zone ever, now add in the fact that you can't mount in the zone, and sprinkle in elite ads all over the place. What do you have there? A shit soup. Literally a shit soup. It's the perfect combination of everything shit, boiled together and fed to you steaming hot. That was what the Maw was.
For more of this. Why would I come back for more? That looks exactly like the game I left. Like, they saw trailers and stuff for 9.1, and they were like, that looks like the game I decided to stop playing. Why? Like, that's not going to bring me back, is it? And it was so sad. And we had a Maw-themed raid. The new world content was invasions in the Maw. The new zone was part of the Maw.
So bad.
There was a new part of the Maw. New world bosses in the Maw. And it was just like...
Not to mention Sanctum of Domination looked like Torghast. Sanctum of Domination just looked like a big Torghast. Like, there was no new visual content in that entire thing. That entire part of Shadowlands, everything was the same. You spent more time. You had the Maw. Now you're going back to the Maw. You had Torghast, now you're going to Sanctum of Domination. It was all the same spiky dildo, gray-ass, depressing-ass shit with a bad storyline to back it up.
Holy shit. Look, I was absolutely fine with not being able to mount in the Maw at the beginning of the expansion, honestly. Whatever, man. But, I mean, you know...
Yeah, it was the upper part of Torghast, but it still
come
different
100 days sooner, and we'd been allowed to mount in the Maw, would not have been an issue. And this is the problem, right? So not only do you get bored of a patch if it's open for 8 months, but the obvious things that can be changed to improve it don't happen if no patches happen, right? Yeah. So yeah, we got to mount in the Maw in 9.1, and if 9.1 had come at a decent time, that would have been fine. It didn't, did it? Am I the only one who thought Core Theory was quite different from the Maw? Yeah, it was different enough, but it was still attached to the Maw. It still sent you into the Maw an awful lot. Like, the main thrust of the gameplay in 9.1 was still centered around the Maw. When you opened up the map, you saw the Maw. It was just more Maw, and it was slightly different aesthetic to the Maw, but it was still there. It still felt like the Maw. And the raid was in the Maw. And the raid was more themed. And, it was just very much more. But you are right. Like Core Theory as a zone, I didn't mind, like, on its own terms.
Sound like you say that.
Like, in isolation,
take a drink every time he says
so bad, but
it
didn't exist in isolation. It existed in the context of a patch. And when it exists in the context of the patch, all of that context is important. Like, how long did we wait for it? Like, what did it replace? What was the new content afterwards? How long did we have to wait in 9.1 before more content came around? And that was too long a wait as well.
It was bad, man.
So we waited too long for 9.1, and 9.1 lasted too long.
And everything he's talking about, the residual damage of all of that, we're feeling it still now in Dragonflight. Because Dragonflight's great. But is it great enough to pull World of Warcraft out of the Maw? I don't know. Man. Certainly doesn't feel that way right now with viewership the way it is on everyone's streams, on everyone's YouTube channels, all WoW content. It's pretty bad.
Too, because everything lasted.
I don't mean to be depressing. Dragonflight's great, and if you're playing WoW, you're having a hell of a good time. Because I sure am. We're just talking about WoW in general.
Too long in Shadowlands because the patch cadence was terrible.
All
of these things combined meant that, I mean, if you had a friend that stopped playing WoW in Shadowlands, chances are it was in 9.1. Chances are it was 9.1. And the issue is the pacing, but also
was a nice refresh.
With that in mind, it's impossible to look back at 9.1 and not conclude that with everything else being equal, we can't pretend that it wasn't a shorter patch. It wasn't. In hindsight, it was a huge mistake to base it in the Maw.
Yeah.
A really, really big mistake. To base that patch, which we waited 8 months for, around the aesthetic of the Maw and the location of the Maw.
Yeah.
And, like, all the armor sets were, like, Maw themed. And, there's just a lot, wasn't there? And what that does is it aggravates all of the other niggly little problems that people have with it. So every problem becomes a huge thing at that point.
Because they were already problems, and then, salt in the wound, like I said.
Frustrated and annoyed, and with the scandal as well, which a very, very good reason to not want to play WoW, frankly. The explosion of a game like Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XIV.
I mean, I'll be honest, I have morals. I consider myself to be a person who has morals, but I never base the games I play on the morality of the company that made it, or any of the products I buy. I don't know. Maybe I'm like a cynic when it comes to that stuff. I don't believe personally that people can really change. I know people can become better, stuff like that. But I don't believe that, like I said, I'm kind of cynical. I don't believe that anything I'm personally going to do is going to change anything on anything that is happening in a corporation, I guess. So I'm just going to kind of go about my life, live my life. I'm going to play the games I like to play, buy the products I like to buy. And whatever the hell that corporation is doing, it's fucked, whatever. It doesn't affect whether I buy that stuff or do that stuff. I don't know. I feel like I got too much shit going on in my own life to worry about what's going on at Hostess before I buy a Twinkie.
Absolute banger game. And
even Nestle, I don't even know what happened at Nestle. But that's the thing. See, I don't keep up with that shit because I don't care.
A lot of people started playing that game, and they suddenly had...
Sam stopped drinking Bud Light. Never drank Bud Light.
Not very much in WoW. To having 7 years worth of Final Fantasy XIV to play. You know? They went from like waiting ages for new content in WoW, and when it came, it was a bit like the old content, which they didn't really like.
I mean, I will tell you one thing I don't care for. I'm not going to talk about Bud Light, but I really don't like agendas being pushed and things. I don't want it. I just want to play my game or consume my product. I don't care about your company's agenda.
And they went from that to having 7 years worth of game to play.
Child slavery is probably not good.
That feels amazing, right?
But also, the T-shirt I'm wearing is a Nike T-shirt. I mean, yeah. We've heard things about Nike before with that shit.
And you're like, shit. Like, everyone was like, there's so much content in Final Fantasy XIV. It's like, yeah, you've got 7 years
because they
worth
made
of game
the beer
that
political, that's why. It's not about the beer, it's about
loads.
politics.
Like, if you haven't played WoW before, there's loads of WoW.
Kid Rock fan confirmed.
So
I am from Michigan.
Yeah, and like 14's a great game, and I'm really, really glad that like, let's be real. If you watch all the cutscenes in MSQ to the end of Shadowbringers, not even Endwalker, you watch over 80 hours of cutscene just by playing through to the end of Shadowbringers. 80 hours of cutscene. Yeah, there's a lot to get to in Final Fantasy
is a ton of cutscenes.
Last I played was before Christmas. But yeah, and I'm right. Like, I think it's fantastic that people love that game. It was a shame that people felt the need to pit the games up against each other. And more importantly, the communities decided to pit themselves against each other. I feel like that was really, really sad. I feel like no true Final Fantasy XIV player really wanted that. Because, you know, it always annoyed me when WoW players would shit on Final Fantasy XIV. And it annoyed me when 14 used to shit on WoW as well. Like, I just don't like it. And
yeah, I don't play Final Fantasy XIV, but I don't care to shit on it. It's another game. And I actually hope it does well, so that way it pushes the WoW dev team to actually make WoW good. Because for a long time, there was no competition, so Blizzard didn't give a shit.
Fairness
about making the game
and
good.
This was all stoked by ex-WoW players in the Final Fantasy XIV community as well, by the way. This is not old school Final Fantasy XIV
bitter
community
WoW
doing
players
this.
in Final Fantasy are the WoW
haters.
haters.
Deranged at points. The hate that ex-WoW players were throwing at WoW in the name of Final Fantasy XIV, it got a little bit deranged. Do you remember that time when Zereth Mortis came out and there were these memes?
The Final Fantasy community being worse than WoW's, I don't know about that, but I will say, you got to remember, a lot of Final Fantasy's community was made up of bitter WoW players. Angry WoW players who were pissed off about WoW not being good. They were looking to replace it with something. They found Final Fantasy, and they made it their job to justify their opinion that WoW sucked by heading into every WoW stream, every WoW video on YouTube, every WoW TikTok post, every WoW short, every WoW post on Instagram, and jumping into the comments section and hating on it to justify the fact that they had left the game. Because WoW can't be good if they're not playing it, right? So there was that. There was the whole self-fulfilling prophecy shit going on. They finally got rid of PI. What the hell's PI?
Going around of all the things that...
The Final Fantasy community felt betrayed when WoW players went back to WoW when the new patch came out. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's the ones who were hanging on and saying, WoW sucks. They wanted, it just doesn't fit their rhetoric if people are going back and playing WoW.
That WoW was copying from Final Fantasy XIV.
And WoW's been copying for years.
The weakest fucking shit. The biggest fucking stretches. They were comparing that zone with the floating fucking castle in Endwalker to fucking Bastion and shit like that. And it's like, holy shit, man. So sad. Yeah, it was really, really bad. And it was WoW.
Maybe.
Refugees that were doing that. It was not old school Final Fantasy XIV players by any means, because old school Final Fantasy XIV players got very used to keeping their fucking heads down, honestly. You know, like if I ever talked about Final Fantasy 14, people would just like shout me down, tell me how shit it was and how no one played it, etc. Right? So yeah, I find that a bit silly. But so yeah, all of these things have gone to create an environment where basically not many people are playing WoW right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the change in WoW happened during Shadowlands. Famously. Well, not famously, actually. I guess it's not that well known because so many people stopped playing in 9.1.
Not many people got back out of the maw.
Perfectly reasonably, if you ask me.
Their souls are still trapped in the maw, and Anduin's walking around looking for them.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if 9.1 saw the for a patch in WoW, and I include like opening patches in that. Well, I don't include opening patches in that, obviously, because the drop-off in opening patches is huge. But I think for a patch, I think 9.1 must have seen the biggest drop-off in subs ever.
Probably.
That's really sad, but understandable.
I don't disagree.
And, you know, like, that has an effect. It affects Shadowlands, but even more so, it's always going to affect the expansion after.
Yeah.
And Dragonflight is paying the price for Shadowlands' mistakes, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. It's a shame, but it is what it is. And so all WoW can do at the moment, honestly, is what they're doing. That's all WoW can do. All WoW can do is make a banging fucking game. Check, they have. Which retains players. Player retention in Dragonflight, fantastic.
Yeah. I don't think Dragonflight's necessarily losing players. I just think they have a very small player base to start with. I think everyone who started playing Dragonflight is still playing Dragonflight. Maybe not like the last week or two, because you know, if you've done everything, and now you're just waiting for 10.1. But I don't think people are unsubbing. I think people are just waiting for 10.1. I don't think retention is the issue. I think it's getting people to come back. That's the issue.
Like off the chart. People, when they play this game, they stick playing it.
Yeah.
Because WoW are doing it right. They're giving us loads of content. Huge patch cadence. Like the ethos and the philosophy of it is all like spot on. It's a great game. It's a really good game. And that's all they can do. What else can they do? They're spending money. They're making content. It's good content. They've got it on a really good conveyor belt right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously the community is much, much smaller than it's probably ever been.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah. Good time to be streaming.
The WoW community, the retail community, probably the classic community as well.
What a joke I am. I started streaming during Castle Nathria Shadowlands through Dragonflight. What a time to be alive. What a time to start streaming. Good job, Sam. Pat on the back for that one. Your timing was impeccable.
Smaller than it's probably ever been. My shard is super lively. Look, if I log into Korthia, if I log into Valdrakken right now, we will see a lot of people around here. There'll be a ton of people in Valdrakken right now. I'm on a busy server, you know, a huge, like, Valdrakken cannot fit a whole server's worth of people in the center of Valdrakken. There's actually not that many people here, but, you know, a healthy...
Also, the city's design, the hub is kind of small. Like, pick all these people up and put them in the hub of Ironforge, right? Like the main area in front of the auction house / bank in Ironforge. This isn't a lot of people. But I think Valdrakken's design kind of makes it look like there's a lot of people because it's really just a tiny circle. Right? I think there really aren't a lot of people online in the city.
The amount of people, plenty of people. And, you know, as the day goes on, more and more people appearing all the time. Here we go. But, you know, there's loads of people around here. And, you know, the fact is, a server can feel very busy with a fraction of the amount of people on that server actually being online. And Argent Dawn has multiple Valdrakken shards. Yeah, so basically, Valdrakken's always going to be full. But that's still good. I mean, you know, you can only fill it with what's there.
Trust me, I don't think we ever get.
I
don't think we ever get cross faction the way we're getting it if the population was high.
How many subs does WoW have nowadays? No one knows. But I think estimates are around 1 million, which compared to other MMOs, is still
great.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Like, if an MMO came out today and had 1 million subs after their first year, that would be considered like one of the most explosive games of the year. Insanity, successful MMO, huge fucking numbers. But 1 million for WoW? considering what I think they were like at 14 million in Wrath of the Lich King. That's pretty low. But still pretty profitable. I mean, 1 million times 15, right? That you're not even including WoW tokens and mounts and all that other shit. The in-game store stuff, all that. 15 times 1 million. 15 million a month. I mean, that's easy math. Not bad.
You know, any other MMO would...
Obviously, that's not all profit. You got maintaining servers and all that shit, but still, not bad.
But for WoW, obviously, that's very bad.
Yeah.
And you can see it. You can see it in the views on content and stuff as well. Like our views and Mel's views and stuff like that. Our YouTube videos are getting the same kind of views that 14 videos get. Got two of the biggest streamers in the world on it. It sucks.
Asmon and Samiccus.
But it's just what it is. It's just where the community is right now. And WoW are doing what they have to do. WoW are doing the right thing right now.
Yeah, just making good content.
They are making a good game. Yeah. And they're making a really good game. And that's all they can do. All they can do is put out a fucking good game and hope that when players do kind of trickle back, because they will, you know, everyone gets that WoW itch from time to time.
Yeah.
You know? And the good thing is, just about everyone who isn't playing the game at the moment, I guess we're clutching at straws a little bit here, but most of the people who aren't playing the game right now, because they gave up in 9.1 or whenever, I feel like most people know the game is good. I think most people are aware that people genuinely like WoW right now.
Yeah.
And that Dragonflight is a good expansion. Tally, don't you think the end of the pandemic has a significant effect on that? No, I don't think so.
I don't either.
Like, I think most people who aren't playing the game, even if they're not playing the game, even if they have no desire to come back to the game right now, most of them know, or the community is really happy with Dragonflight.
Yeah, the reason why I don't think the pandemic, like I said, I mean, people have been playing WoW without a pandemic for the entirety of their life of WoW play. So I think if the pandemic would affect anything, it would affect game time. Maybe instead of you had guys playing 8 hours a day, now they're playing 4 hours a day because they have to go into the office for work or something like that. But I don't think the pandemic ending causes you to unsub. No, if you're having fun, you're staying subbed. So I don't think the pandemic is the reason.
All WoW can do is
some Americans are struggling from a recession.
Putting out the fucking content. And
but I mean, you had the 2008, 2009. I mean, I'm sure you can look at the numbers back then. What expansion was out in 08, 09? 2009, World of Warcraft. Let's see. What expansion was out in 2009? World of Warcraft expansion. Let me see. It's not coming up. Cataclysm. Yeah, I mean, maybe you had a little bit of a drop-off, but it wasn't like it is right now. Certainly wasn't like it is right now.
No, I'm loving WoW right now. Oh, man. And I love making content for WoW right now. It's just so good. It feels really great. And if we're making a bit less money, then so be it. I think a lot of people are still going to be stuck on the bad feeling they had if they left in 9.1. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's perfectly reasonable, honestly. Like I say, there is still time. There's still time for 9.1 to go down as the patch that killed WoW, because it's not guaranteed that WoW is going to survive this. If we get to the end of 9.1,
look, I'll be honest. If the Riot MMO was coming out today, I think WoW would be fucked. Absolutely fucked. Because I actually think that's going to be a good MMO. I think it has promise. I would go play it. I'd go try it. But Blizzard right now kind of has a chance to do what they can. They're doing what they can, making a good expansion, and that's the best. That's all they can do right now.
Sorry, if we get to the end of Dragonflight,
they have some time,
and there's no doubt that Blizz have pushed the boat out on Dragonflight. There's no doubt that they have hired like 100 new devs.
Yeah. They're trying. They're not letting the game just die.
But if they get to the end of this expansion, they're like, well, you know what? The numbers haven't recovered as much as we'd hoped.
WoW too.
And it's maintenance mode for you. It could happen. And if that happens, then it won't be Dragonflight's fault. It'll be 9.1's fault.
Oh, yeah.
It makes Blizz the most money out of their games. Oh, yeah, sure, but they might feel like they could make as much money out of the game without putting as much into it. They're like, okay, so at the moment, all our money is coming from services and store and stuff like that. And, an ever-decreasing amount of our money is actually coming from subs. So why the fuck do we need to retain subs? Like our
Go
best
free to
business
play.
option here is to cut 200 devs and just focus on those whales, you know, which is what a lot of other games do.
Yeah.
99% of MMOs exist on a very small handful of whales, which WoW doesn't have to do, but they might decide that's best from a...
Focusing on whales is a societal thing right now. I'm not going to get into some big fucking speech about this, but a lot of companies have found more profitability by just focusing on whales. Take Disney, for example, raising their prices across the board, essentially pricing out the middle class family. But you know what they're also doing at the same time? They have less people going, right? They have less people able to go, but they're making more money than ever because the people that can go to the parks or can consume the products spend way more money than 5 of the other people would have. Each one of them spends way more than 5, 10 of the other people would have. Same with WoW. Same with the car companies and stuff. Right? They have like all-time low sales numbers, but all-time high average purchase price. Right? The whales. And guess what they're doing? Making record profits. It's not about volume anymore. Everyone's realizing that. It's not about volume. It's about sucking the life out of the few people that you have. The whales can provide you more profit than 1,000 little fish can.
From a bottom line point of view, they might be, because they don't give a fuck.
It's not just
whoever's looking at the spreadsheets and making these decisions.
Video games,
Activision, right?
It's everywhere.
They don't give a fuck about the community. All they care about is maximum return for their investors in 1 year.
Yep.
Not even long term.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite feasible that WoW could, change dramatically in the resources that are put into it. So we just got to hope that doesn't happen. We just got to hope that players do come back to the game and enjoy this really, really good expansion, because it is a really good expansion. Do you feel hopeful for the future of WoW? It's hard not to feel hopeful for the future of WoW when it is still the most successful MMO and is also really, really good. That's the thing that gives me genuine hope for WoW.
Yeah.
Is that it's really good. If there is hope right now, it's the best sort of hope, which is the fact that Dragonflight is an absolute, genuine, stone-cold banger, in my opinion. And I think there's a lot of hope to take from that.
Yeah.
I'm confident.
It's good.
People
good.
ask me on the stream a lot, like, should I come back for Dragonflight? Should I come back and play Dragonflight? Is it worth it?
It's a great,
when people used to say that to me in BFA and Shadowlands, particularly obviously in Shadowlands, I was like, what can I say, man? I'm playing, it's better in these ways. This is a problem with it at the moment.
I think it'll take 2 good expansions to bring WoW back to decent numbers, because it essentially took 2 bad expansions to destroy WoW. Right? BFA was not good. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good. And then Shadowlands was epically horrible. So that was like the back-to-back bad expansions that kind of just let people like, yeah, I'm done. So for people to come back, I think it'll take back-to-back good expansions. Dragonflight's great. I think the next expansion will be an important one for them to hit on, because one more bad expansion, they have no line left. There's no lifeline left. That's it. People will leave in herds.
Very much like a personal opinion sort of thing.
Back-to-back champions.
Dragonflight is the first expansion since that.
Back-to-back reigns.
I can honestly and without irony and without doubt go, I'm pretty sure you're going to like it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is worth coming back for Dragonflight. Like, I would be very surprised if someone came back to Dragonflight and did not enjoy it.
I agree.
Whereas I could absolutely understand if someone didn't enjoy Shadowlands and BFA. Yeah. Because, and also, like, the vibe in the community is really, really good.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but the vibe in the WoW community has been really good ever since a load of people left for Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
And, maybe you'll never, ever come back to the game ever in your entire life.
He's saying all the toxic people.
But maybe one day, and, no loss, really. It's just a video game at the end of the day. But maybe you'll wake up one day and you'll have that little itch. And you'll just be like, I just fancy logging in.
Is it just a video game? You've been playing it since 2004. Is it just a video game at this point?
Into WoW, right? Just fancy it. And it's much nicer to have a really cool expansion like Dragonflight to log into.
Yeah.
In that situation,
Makes it easier to play.
So, And that's how WoW are going to get their players back, is by just making sure the game is good. And so when those people do cautiously stick their head around the door, when they do very cautiously dip their toe back in the water, what they find is a game that is much, much better than the one they left. That's all that WoW can do.
Very true.
And they're doing it. So that's where my hope is, yeah. So I am hopeful. But I'm also a realist.
Ending on a positive note.
I'm also not stupid. I can also see that the game is, in other ways that aren't connected to the quality of the game, in the doldrums, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone would tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
Certainly not from a content creator point of view. I think most content creators would happily just turn around to you right now and go, "Oh yeah, WoW views are down the fucking pan."
Yep.
It is what it is. It won't affect me. I'll keep making my WoW content. If I have to get another job as well, so be it. I had a job when I started making WoW content. I've been lucky enough to make WoW content for the last 6 years professionally.
I still have a job.
If I end up having to do something else, is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be fair, creators made hate videos that got a lot of views for Shadowlands. Yeah, I feel like creators did kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit with that.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me. I like to think that looking
It's
back...
so true, though. So many creators jumped on the easy money. And what was the easy money at the time? Well, make a outrageously titled, crazy-looking video that just talks about how much you hate WoW. And guess what? All those ex-WoW Final Fantasy players were clicking on that shit, watching that shit. But guess what they were doing at the same time? While they were milking the shit out of that cow, they were killing that cow. Yep, that's right. So now what? Now what? Now you've killed your cow. Your cow is on life support, and now you can't milk it anymore. Good job, buddy.
Back on Shadowlands, I'm quite proud
Starting
of the relatively level
it's
head
always
that
an
I
option.
kept compared to some other creators. Some other people will say that was a fault of mine at the time, but I look back on it. I look back on our BFA and Shadowlands content, and I'm actually quite proud of it. I'm proud of how we didn't churn out hate shit.
Yeah.
And the game's really good. The game's great, so I would recommend you come back. Having said that, I don't fucking play it.
I recommend you come.
So how would you know?
Just leave it at that. Yeah, good stuff. Really touched on a lot of points that I kind of talked about yesterday with, stream views and some of the streamers that we know on this stream who have quit streaming, went back to their jobs. That's really because it's really hard to just make independent WoW, just make money off of WoW content right now. If that was your lifeblood, luckily for me, luckily and unluckily, I have another job. This is just like a fun thing for me, really. If I was dependent on it, shit, I'd be fucked this month. I ain't made shit this month. So I understand the people who've had to kind of leave, right? They've had to leave. They've had to say, well, you know what? I can't do this. I got to go get another job. I can't stream full time anymore because this can't support me. I'm going to starve to death trying to do this. Understandable. But like we said, Blizzard's doing what they can. Right? They're doing the only thing they can do, and that's making a good expansion. Dragonflight's a great expansion. It's fun to play. I enjoy playing it. I enjoy logging in. And I'm very excited for 10.1. So I'm here. You guys are here. We're still playing. And yes, the OnlyFans account. Hey. With or without WoW success, that could happen. You never know. You never know.